waive your qualified immunity?
You need to step.
Do you waive your qualified immunity?
You need to get the step.
I'm asking you to pull out your sergeant. I'm asking you to get your sergeant. Get Sergeant Meyer. Get Sergeant Meyer.
Brother, that's what I'm telling you. I don't understand what you want, man. I live right there, bro, in Aviles. I just left my house. I'm literally fucked up. I'm getting something, man. Here's my fucking light. Here's my shit, bro. What are you doing?
Why them? Why them? Why today?
Sometimes all it takes is a badge and a little power for things to go completely off the rails. In this case, we're talking about what really happens when rookie cops realize they got the wrong guy. It's not just a mistake, it's a full display of how quickly things can escalate when officers ignore rights and target the wrong person. And trust me, it only gets worse from here.
You got any ID on you?
Why would I need that?
I'm just wanting to find out who you are. You got a mask on, I can't see your face.
Exactly. We're in public.
You are. But you need to...
This officer approaches with the gloves on and body cam rolling, questioning a man for filming a bank, something fully protected under the First Amendment. Instead of upholding the law, he fixates on the man's mask and hands in his pockets, conflating legal activity with suspicion. When challenged, the cop pivots from rights to concerns, revealing his bias. But this is just the start.
Go. And here we go.
Hey, how we doing?
How are you doing?
Pretty good. What we doing?
If you don't mind me asking, is your body cam on?
It is.
Okay, why do you have your gloves on?
I always wear my gloves.
Okay.
Why you have a mask on?
Do I not have the right to have a mask?
Absolutely, but what are you doing filming the bank?
Exactly what it seems like.
For what?
Is there not a First Amendment?
There is a First Amendment, but you've got people concerned, so I'm just asking what you're doing.
So my right to record as people concerned? So you enforce feelings?
No, I'm just asking what you're doing.
Why don't you enforce the law?
Get your hands out of your pockets.
Okay.
It's pretty cold, so
I understand.
I don't have gloves like you. So
You want some?
no, I'm good.
Okay.
I like to have my hands in.
You got any ID on you?
The officer, threatened not by a crime but by a citizen's camera and calm questions, demands ID without cause and orders him off a public sidewalk despite admitting it's legal to stand there. When asked if his directive is lawful, he stammers through feelings-based logic, refusing to call a supervisor. This was all about control, and when control slips, these cops tend to reach for something worse.
I'm just wanting to find out who you are. You got a mask on, I can't see your face.
Exactly. We're in public.
You are. But you need to vacate in front of the bank.
And where am I at?
You're in Lake Ozark, Missouri.
Am I not on the public easement?
You are.
So why do I need to vacate the public sidewalk?
Because you've got people nervous and they want to know what you're
Are you giving me a lawful order?
I am giving you a lawful order.
Do
You need to move the area.
let me ask you this.
Young man, I'm not gonna play this game with you.
waive your qualified immunity?
I'm not going to play this game.
Do you
with
waive your qualified immunity?
You need to step.
Do you waive your qualified
You
immunity?
need to get the step.
I'm asking you to pull out your sergeant. I'm asking you to get your sergeant. Get Sergeant Meyer. Get Sergeant Meyer.
I don't have to do that.
Get Sergeant Meyer. I'm asking you to get a sergeant here. You don't know the law.
Yeah, I know the law.
You're a dangerous man.
29 years I've been doing it.
You got your gloves on. You ready to put your hands on me?
I'm not gonna put
You
my
ready to
hands
take
on
me to
you.
jail?
My hands are-
The officer insisted on calling his command lawful, yet admitted the man stood on a public sidewalk, a space protected by law. When the man asserted his right to remain, the cop escalated without articulating any crime. No law was broken, no threat posed, just discomfort from onlookers. And that was enough to justify force in their eyes. With no probable cause, they grabbed him. The law was ignored, and things were about to turn uglier.
Unlawful order to vacate when I'm on a public
You
sidewalk.
are on a public sidewalk.
So why would I need to leave?
I'm giving you a lawful order.
Am I
that
free-
you need
am
to
I free-
vacate
am
in
I
front of
free
the
to go?
area. Young man, I'm not. Yeah,
Am
you're
I-
free to go.
I'm free to stay.
Thank you.
You need to vacate the area.
I'm not vacating.
Yeah, you are.
Nope.
Then you go with me then.
So you're gonna put your hands on me?
I am. Turn
I
around.
asked you to put. I asked you to
put your
get
hands
Sergeant
by you.
Meyer.
The man calmly then asked for a supervisor. The officer refused and threatened to slam his phone to the ground, destroying property and silencing the recording. Still, no crime had been stated. Detainment became the excuse, but not even a fabricated charge followed. Then came the real goal: turning off the camera, silencing witnesses, erasing accountability.
I'm not getting Sergeant
I
Meyer.
asked you to get Sergeant Meyer.
I've asked you to move.
I asked you to get Sergeant Meyer.
I've asked you to move.
I asked you to get Sergeant Meyer. You're gonna don't. You gonna. Hey, excuse me. He threw my phone down on
I
the
sure
ground,
did.
guys.
You good?
Yeah.
Threw my phone on the ground, guys.
Sure did.
Why'd you do that? Can you get my phone first? I'm asking you, do you not want to get Sergeant Meyer out here?
No.
Why
I'll take
not?
you to him.
Why not?
Even better, huh?
You're gonna unlawfully arrest me.
I'm not arresting you. I'm just detaining you.
Okay, for what crime? For what crime? For what crime? Don't turn my phone on. Don't turn my phone on. That is my First Amendment to record. Do not turn my phone on.
How do you turn your phone off?
For what crime? Don't turn my phone on. Don't turn my phone on. That is my First Amendment to record.
After destroying the man's phone, the officer mocked the damage, claiming it wasn't recording anyway. When challenged on shutting it off, he deflected and blamed the fall. Still, no crime named, yet now came accusations of failure to identify, despite no legal obligation without reasonable suspicion. What followed was a call to backup, not for danger, but for defiance. And still, the worst was brewing.
Do not turn my phone on.
Boss, it hasn't been recording since your phone hit the ground.
Okay then.
So how do I turn it off?
He turned my phone on.
How did I turn your phone off?
You threw it on the ground.
The screen won't stay off or something.
Exactly.
So
You threw my phone on
your
the
phone
ground.
is going up here, okay?
That's fine. I'm asking you to
boss.
Sergeant Meyer out here. You're making a mistake.
What's your name?
I'm not telling you my
Well,
name.
you're failing to identify yourself.
What,
so
what,
that's why
crime,
you're
what
getting
crime
involved.
have I committed?
You're failing to identify
What is your
yourself.
reasonable articulable suspicion I committed a crime?
If you won't ID yourself, dude.
What is your reasonable articulable suspicion?
Because you were failing to identify
What
yourself.
crime? I...
708 Miller, I got one detained.
Is this the same guy we dealt with?
708, 702. He'll never answer his radio.
Let me call him.
The officer called for backup, not because of a crime, but to ask another cop if he remembered the man's name. He admitted he couldn't recall it, yet moments earlier claimed he already knew it, clearly bluffing. Instead of verifying ID through legal channels, he grasped at hearsay about a girlfriend named Haley, and next they tried to legitimize it with force.
Hey, can you come to Central Bank and see if you can identify this subject? He's been asking for you for the last 5 minutes.
Like light out that I cited.
Yeah.
So I know his name. I just can't think of it right now.
Gave him an awful order to move out in front of the bank. He's got people nervous, and he's failing to identify himself, so there's no reason. You remember his name? You remember his name?
I know his girlfriend's name was like Haley or something.
Where are they from?
Osage Beach. Mind if I talk to him, see if he'll give me his name? Mind if I talk to him, see if he'll give me his name?
Oh, I don't care. Yeah, if you you'll give me his name.
The second officer stepped in, immediately declaring the man was being detained for not identifying himself. But under the law, sir, refusal to ID is only grounds for arrest when there's reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime. Instead of naming one, the cop repeated vague claims of suspicious activity and making people uncomfortable, neither of which meet legal standards. He then admitted it. He didn't care if the man was on public property. And from there, things unraveled further.
Hey, boss.
What's going on?
So the reason that you're in cuffs right now is because you're not identifying with my other officer there?
Yes.
What's your name, dude?
What reasonable articulable suspicion?
So
I'm talking now.
It's
What-
called suspicious activity.
But what crime have I committed?
You're making these people feel uncomfortable.
I'm asking you, Clayton
And they've
Wolf.
said that
Clayton
they've
Wolf
asked you to
17.
leave, right?
Clayton Wolf 17.
Right.
What crime am I committing?
So they've asked you to leave.
I'm asking you.
They've asked you that they don't want you here.
Sir, I said yes.
So we
sir,
have
you.
to identify you.
I'm asking you, what crime have I committed?
Okay. And I just told you.
What crime?
I literally just told you.
Just answer. What crime?
I've already told you 3 times. I'm not going to tell you.
That is what crime have I
Okay.
committed?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Nope. It is the same guy, though.
I don't care if it's on a public sidewalk.
It's 100%. He's the same guy.
I don't care if it's on a public sidewalk or not. They don't want.
The officer doubled down, claiming the man refused a lawful order to give his name and leave, despite never citing a single law he had broken. Being outside a bank on a public sidewalk for 30 minutes is not a crime. Neither is making people feel uneasy. The law requires suspicion of specific offense, not just hurt feelings. But the cops weren't interested in legality.
From the fucking bank, making people uneasy, and I asked him what his name was. And he refused a lawful order by giving me his name and moving down the road.
I wonder if his car's here.
I don't know what his brother.
I do.
This is simple. Give me your fucking name. That's all you need to do. This is simple. Give me your fucking name. That's all you need to do.
Did you go in and talk to the bank guys yet?
See how long he's been out here? They said about a half hour. There's no rhyme or reason why.
How long has that gentleman been out here?
I don't know for sure. He's been out there a little while. Probably about half an hour now.
About a half an hour?
We've had customers in the drive-thru. He's been...
Even the bank staff admitted they received guidance that filming from the sidewalk, public property, is legal and that they couldn't take action. But the officer ignored that, choosing instead to pursue detainment based on the man's refusal to give his location, a demand with no legal foundation unless a crime is suspected. With no trespass request and no law broken, they clung to technicalities. And next, they tried bending those too.
Because we don't want him filming us in a car. And he never come in here.
Okay.
But he's been out there and filming cars as they're going
Do you want him trespassed from here?
I'm sorry?
Do you want him trespassed from here?
I don't know. I know we got an email saying that as long as they're on public property and the sidewalk is public property, that we really can't do anything about
Right.
it. So I don't know.
Well, right now he's failing to give us any location, so
Okay.
he's not doing that, so that means he's, at this time, being detained.
Okay.
But I need to know from you guys if you guys want him trespassed from this property.
Well, I've tried to get a hold of our security officer, and he's not answering.
Okay.
Let me see if he's got a cell phone that we can call.
Okay.
Give me just a moment.
Now, he's been screaming and hollering for you anyway.
The officer kept circling back to lawful orders without ever grounding them as actual law. Refusing to remove a mask or give a name isn't unlawful unless tied to a crime. And even he admitted no crime had been committed. Instead, he justified the detainment by saying he was investigating as if suspicion could be created after the fact. They weren't enforcing the law. They were making it up as they went.
That's what he said. He won't take his mask down. He won't tell me who he is.
Is your body cam on?
It is.
His body, Sergeant Meyer, what am I doing in
You know his?
I'm familiar with him. I don't remember your name right off my head, but
What am I doing in cuffs?
well, he detained you for his investigation.
He couldn't tell me what crime I committed.
You failed to comply with a lawful order.
What
I done
crime-
told you.
what crime
I
have I
told you
committed?
to get moving, and I
What-
told you to identify
What
yourself.
crime have I committed?
I just told you.
Before you were here on the scene, what crime have I committed?
None. Until
Okay,
you,
so why do I have to ID myself?
because I gave you a lawful order to do so,
I have
because
not
I'm
committed
investigating
a
on why
crime.
you're standing out
You
here in
cannot,
front.
you cannot articulate what crime
Okay,
I committed.
all right.
All right, let me get the.
You can't articulate what crime I committed.
Once you
What
tell me who you are, you're going.
That is the. I can figure his name out.
The officer was a real dum-dum to openly admit the man had broken no laws, was allowed to film, and was standing exactly where he had the legal right to be. Yet he still ordered him to move, unmask, and identify, all without legal grounds. When the man refused, the cop decided to throw him in the back of a cruiser until he complied, flipping due process on its head. They didn't need a crime, they just needed resistance.
Because what he was doing, he was standing here, he wasn't breaking any laws by being on the sidewalk. And I asked him, I said, hey, you've got people in here nervous. Would you mind stepping down the road for me? He goes, am I on a public easement? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, why is your fucking gloves on? I said, I wear them all the time when I deal with people. And he goes, well, I ain't fucking moving. I said, I'm giving you an order to get to stepping and identify yourself and pull your mask down. Fuck you, I ain't gonna do that either. I said, okay, if you're not gonna identify yourself, you're going back in my car until you identify yourself. But he wasn't breaking any laws. He's allowed to film all day long.
Did they ever tell him to leave or anything? Or was he ever on?
They're saying he was on the grass. Wolf's double checking, because if he was on this portion of the grass, that's technically theirs. That portion's not. Like I said, when I got here, he was standing on the sidewalk filming, which he's allowed to do. But he says he knows you.
Well,
They admitted it again. No crime, no harassment, no threats. Just a man standing on a sidewalk with a camera, which made some people feel uncomfortable. That was the entire basis here. The officer scrambled to remember his name, referencing past legal activity like public records requests and traffic stops, as if exercising rights was cause for suspicion. Feelings were treated like facts.
some video requests before. I know I can get his name. I know that. We have him in a report or two. I just can't think of it right off my head.
Wolf did a traffic stop on him here a while back.
Yeah.
But he's trying to find his name and he can't find it. Of course he locked it.
So you say about 30 minutes he's been out here?
People were coming in, they were getting very close. The one lady said, I wouldn't get out of my car. I didn't know what was going on.
Was he like antagonizing them, harassing them, or just
Well, he was here.
pointing the
The
camera?
lady was in the second driving call and said, there's a guy out here in front of my car, out there, pointing at me, and I don't like it.
Okay.
And I said, well, I am very sorry, we're working on it.
So it's a little grave.
They acknowledged it outright. Filming in public is legal. There's no expectation of privacy outside, and the man never stepped onto private property. Still, they lingered, searching for anything to justify their response. His real offense wasn't legal but personal. He didn't like talking to the police. He didn't cooperate, and for that, they treated him like a suspect.
You know what I mean? Because he's on the sidewalk. And once you're out in public, which means once you leave this parking lot, because this is private property, once you leave this parking lot, you can be reported. Anything you want can be recorded. Yeah, you have no right to privacy in the public.
Yeah,
So
that's terrible.
now, if he was like coming in here and they had signs up here in this private property, if they had signs up and saying that you're not allowed to record this, that, or the other, that's one thing. But if he's just standing on the sidewalk recording, then we can't really do a whole lot.
He was recording.
No, he don't like to talk to us. He doesn't like to cooperate with the police. We've dealt with him a lot.
Well, then you know.
Yeah. But kind of why I'm in here, I just want to make sure that he's not doing anything wrong. If he's not doing anything wrong, then we can't push the subject
All
with
he
him.
did was
Cops and the bank staff kept circling the same tired justification. People were uncomfortable. Feelings, not facts, were treated like evidence. The officers held the man, waiting to see if the bank might want to trespass him retroactively, just to justify kicking him out. It wasn't about enforcing the law anymore. It was about not losing face. And their next move would make that crystal clear.
uncomfortable. The call center called, the people from there called, people walking in, complaining, not feeling safe. And I didn't like it, to be honest with you.
Okay. If she happens to, actually, how long do you think she'll be?
She should be another minute or two.
Okay.
Hang on.
Okay.
Cheryl,
What's that? Huh?
you're not going to do it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay,
So,
I appreciate it.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your speed.
Yep.
Getting down there.
Yes, ma'am.
Once he tells me his name, he's free to go.
I got his name. As long if there's no crime from on their end, then
Okay. I'll wait for Wolf to come back and then.
we probably need to want to know if they're going to want to trespass him from here.
But I'm not going to play the game coming back every 20 minutes either.
Well, if he ain't on their property, then he's not trespassing.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying.
I mean, on their end before we kick him.
Under pressure to justify their actions, the officers shifted focus from legality to annoyance. One cop insisted he hadn't cursed, just always talks like that, as if tone could now be used to validate detainment. When even the bank declined to press charges or request trespass, it became painfully clear that they had nothing. Yet instead of letting it go, they settled on a petty strategy.
That might just be a figure. I always talk like that.
I did not curse at you.
I always talk like that.
But
But,
you did.
regardless,
But
I
if
gave
you-
you it. I'm not
if you're
gonna.
translating-
We're not gonna overtalk each other.
Let me
If you're
talk to him.
translating
We're not gonna overtalk over each other.
Let me talk to him.
translating to the sergeant,
They're not going to do anything about it. They don't want him trespassed or anything.
Then why did they call?
I don't know. They said that they had customers coming in and coming to the drive-thru, coming on the call lines, saying that they felt unsafe and that he was...
Yeah, he didn't break any laws because he was on the sidewalk.
Right. And saying that he was pointing at them, harassing them, and just doing all sorts of things, just basically pointing at camera and pointing at them.
Oh, okay.
So he hasn't done anything aside from not identifying.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay.
But
Well, as soon as Meyer gets done with it, I'll cut him loose and we'll just play the game. Every 20 minutes we'll be back dealing with him.
Faced with having no criminal offense to justify the call, the officers leaned on the tired excuse of officer safety to retroactively frame the detainment. One had cuffed the man not because of danger, but because he stood still and questioned authority. Past grievances were dragged in, grudges disguised as concern. But losing control wasn't the worst part here. They feared losing the narrative next.
That's a detainment. But I'm not in any public officer safety.
We're making sure there's no criminal offense that was committed before we got here at the bank.
And there wasn't, so...
They called us.
But he put me in cuffs
That's a
because I
detainment.
was not moving.
That's a detainment. He had an investigation to do
I'm
here at
telling
the
you,
bank.
y'all messed up. Y'all messed up extremely bad.
You always say that to us.
I've not always said it to you. I've only had one interaction with you.
But every time we've dealt with you, it's always us.
It is, y'all. Officer Clayton Wolf does not know the law. He asked me where I get my logbook from. I said, I don't have to identify myself if I'm a passenger in the vehicle. He tried to fabricate probable cause by saying I didn't have my seatbelt on when I in fact did on camera.
Okay,
so
but look,
he couldn't get my ID and identify me, so he doesn't know my name. Now you don't know.
Despite openly admitting no crime had been committed and that the man never identified himself because he didn't have to, they kept him in cuffs under the guise of an ongoing investigation. But an investigation requires a crime, not just discomfort or defiance. He reminded them that he was on public property, never violent and never threatening. Yet they restrained him anyway.
Because you don't remember the public record request that I submitted.
I just don't remember right off the top of my head.
He doesn't know my name because I never gave my name and or ID because I have not committed a crime.
Okay, and that may be the case.
Okay, so why am I still in cuffs?
Because we are in still investigation of this.
When
we
is
were
this?
called here for this.
Okay, so how long am I going to sit back here?
I'm going to talk to him. He went in to talk to them, and then we're going to figure this out. Give me another minute.
Is his body cam on?
yes, it is.
Don't mute your...
See?
Don't mute, and don't
See the recording on
do
there?
not mute.
You don't have
It's
to
on
show
there.
it. You don't have to show it.
Is there a crime here?
No.
Are they wanting
They
trespass?
don't want him trespassed. They got nothing.
Okay.
So,
How about?
Yeah, I'm telling you, you done messed up. Put your hands on me like that, and I'm on a public easement and broke no law. Couldn't articulate any kind of law that I broke in, and you put me in hand.
With no charge, no trespass, and no threat, they finally prepared to let him go, but not before leaving damage behind. The man requested medical help, saying his shoulder had been injured during the detainment. He couldn't feel his hand, yet they brushed it off, more concerned with unfastening cuffs than addressing harm. They'd already trampled all over his rights. Now they're going to risk his health.
I sure did.
You messed my shoulder up, so I need medical attention.
Well, you're going to be free to go.
No, I need medical attention because he done messed my shoulder up. Look how he's handling me. Medical attention because he done messed my shoulder up. Look how he's handling me.
Just let him get the cuffs off.
I'm relaxing. Look how he's handling me.
once he gets the cuffs off,
No,
you are
I need
free.
medical
You are free
attention.
to call the
I
ambulance.
can't even feel my hand.
Call for a medical.
I can't even feel my hand, bro.
17 North.
Okay, well, he's calling for a
They finally released him, but only after inflicting physical harm that left him unable to feel his hand. As he requested an ambulance, one officer casually handed him his belongings, as if pain was just an inconvenience. They claimed he'd been detained for not giving ID, still avoiding the fact that no crime had ever been committed. The man had been free all along, they just didn't want him to know it.
Damn, bro.
You're free to go.
But I can't even feel my hand. I need.
Here you go. Here's your shit.
I need an ambulance, man.
He's calling for one. It's kind of interesting.
The subject is released and is requesting medical attention. If you could please have an ambulance come to our location.
You think your officers should act like this?
Do you think you should be acting?
What am I doing wrong? You put me on their property now. I have not stepped on their property.
10-3.
But I've always been free to go, and I was free to stay.
You wasn't. You were detained until he
But what crime have I committed?
That's why he was investigating.
What crime have I committed?
No identification given. Refusing to give identification. No age. He's complaining of shoulder pain.
What's your badge number and name? What's your badge?
No matter how much these cops convinced themselves that they hadn't made a mistake, one thing was certain. The man had been on public property the entire time. However, if they were so sure of themselves, why were they afraid to provide badge numbers or names? Transparency vanished the moment accountability was requested. They didn't want to be seen, only obeyed. But silence wouldn't shield them for long.
I'm not doing this.
What is his badge number?
This is Officer Winker, number 708.
So why y'all people in medical institutions? You're not from right over. We're not medical. What am I doing wrong? You put me on their property now. I have not stepped on their property at all.
You're free to go.
But I've always been free to go, and I was free to stay.
You wasn't. You were detained until he could
But
investigate
what
they were.
crime have I committed?
That's why he was investigating.
What crime have I committed? Though?
That's what he was investigating. Once he went in and talked to him, and they said there was no crime, you're free to go. You're out of cuffs. You can go.
But what's your badge number and name? What's your badge number and name?
I'm not doing this with you. That is Officer Winker, number 708.
So why y'all leaving the investigation?
We're not medical.
You're not from right over.
We're not medical.
Y'all not from right over.
That's up to him.
At this point, the officer casually offered the man a ride as if pain, humiliation, and illegal detention could be smoothed over with a lift to the fire station. They acted more friendly, as if this poor gesture would change the people's opinion of them, or worse, as if it would erase the mistakes they had made. But honestly, they should have thought about that a little earlier.
There's no report to be done. There's no crime committed. I did. I have the right to do that. I can detain you, but I'm done talking to you.
Do you want to ride to the fire station?
I need to see someone to see my shoulder.
If you want to ride, I'll give you a ride.
I need someone to see my shoulder on the seat.
I'm offering you a ride, right? To go right there.
702, Harris to be giving the subject a ride to the fire station.
This incident was filmed and shared publicly, and people began using it as an example of police misconduct. In the end, when rookie cops realize they've got the wrong guy, it usually ends badly for them. And this was no exception. However, if you thought these cops were the worst, wait until you see the next case. And speaking of times when rookie cops realized they got the wrong guy, let's talk about an officer who wasn't exactly thrilled to see a man dressed in black carrying a large speaker down the street. What actually happened was that earlier, the police had received a call reporting someone wearing a mask and carrying a weapon. And of course, this officer decided to escalate the situation.
Okay, somebody said they thought they saw a gun. I'm asking you if you are armed.
I don't have a weapon. I'm walking. I'm exercising. I would like to go now. Is that all right with you?
Okay, why are you wearing something over your head like that? Because it's scary. It's got people scared.
This is not. I'm not trying to be extra, okay? All right? But
always a trip.
are you the IDF? Or are you? I don't understand what's going on. I'm legally allowed to exist, right? I'm legally allowed to cover as much as I would like to, right? You know what I'm saying? I just want to do exercise. I'm just sweating. I got a bunch of water on me. There's another officer coming.
Yes,
this is not what I wanted.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not what I wanted either.
All right.
You feel me?
But it's here because of
The officer's first move wasn't to de-escalate, but to interrogate. Despite the man calmly stating he had no weapon and was simply exercising, she fixated on his appearance, asking why he wore something on his head. But wearing a mask in public isn't illegal. It's protected, in fact. Instead of respecting his right to dress as he pleases, she treated his clothing as probable cause.
I said I don't have no weapon and I'm exercising, right?
Somebody called because they're getting nervous.
See, I'm exercising. You can see.
I didn't see you exercising.
But you can
I just got here. I'm trying to talk to you, and you're being.
I understand. But I'm allowed to go, right?
Look. I'm just asking why somebody would have called and said that.
I'm on the public sidewalk with a radio, exercising with a backpack full of water, right? Sweat my ass off. You do not have any right to do anything but talk to me, right? You know what I'm saying? And I've answered your questions, right?
You didn't tell me why you're wearing this like thing over your head.
Okay, well, I don't have to answer all your questions, right? I have the right to remain silent, right? I'm literally just being polite with you, but you don't see it that way, right? You don't see it that way.
I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Next, the officer pressed forward, demanding to know why he covered his face, as if a mask during exercise was grounds for suspicion. When he asked if wearing it was illegal, she dodged the question. She had no answer, because there wasn't one. But rather than admit it, she leaned harder into the "we got a call" excuse. And right then, another cop rolled up to double down.
Because this is, you just said this, to you it's odd. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right.
So
is that bad or good for me?
Can you just tell me why you're covering your face up?
Do I have to take off my mask? If I continue my run and my jog, do I have to take it off further? Okay, I don't understand. Is that something you can answer or not?
What I'm telling you is we got a call because somebody thought that the way...
You have the right to investigate. I have no reason to help.
The moment backup arrived, the tone snapped from questioning to threat. The man was told he matched a vague description: black clothes, a mask, a backpack, and that was now considered a lawful reason to demand ID. But under the law, a call alone isn't enough. Reasonable suspicion must be backed by clear, articulable facts, not generalizations, right?
Whether I am wrong or not,
but there is an extent. There is an extent, but it is up to us. There's an extent where you are allowed to people or you're not. If you get a call, a lawful call, and have a lawful reason.
That's not a lawful thing.
Yes, it is. It's
mixing up the names, though.
It is lawful.
But
if someone calls us and says that you're doing something, dude, it's
not
ordering and prowling all day long. You're in a place at a time and a minute, not normal for a law-abiding citizen. And someone's saying that you're trying to conceal a gun.
I understand, bro.
Or you're pulling the gun out with a ski mask on in front of an open business.
There's a lot of reasons to bring this. A lot of ways to wrangle up our slaves, bro. Yes,
but that's on everything he did is 100%
we're here to wrangle up slaves for the bank, bro.
We're not gonna let you reach into
Oh
the
man,
bank.
just if more money,
that's not safe for anybody. We don't want to shoot someone. We don't want you to shoot us.
System, bro.
Is there anything else you want to call?
I'm saying, no gun. Thank you. Now can I have your information and stuff?
We'll give it to you.
All right.
It's all us 214, building 269, Jones 2.
I need like a paper with it's too much. I'm exhausted.
It's all on. You can
See, I'm exhausted from running, actually running, but you don't care, bro. I'm here because you brought me here. From where?
Have a great day.
The next black. Can I get some kind of information, or it's just fuck y'all? Fuck y'all, man.
You can give him this address and ask for the call. Yep.
This second officer didn't come to de-escalate, he came to dominate. The moment the man expressed that he wasn't feeling well and didn't have his ID, things turned violent. He was shouted at, cursed at, and grabbed, treated like a threat for the crime of jogging while black. No weapon was found, no law was broken, but they had already decided how this would end.
I don't even feel well. I don't have my ID on me, bro. Oh man, bro, I got. Shut the fuck up! I'm getting something, man. Here's my fucking light. Here's my shit, bro. What are you doing, bro? Hey,
stop.
Why? You got this shit on radio on repeat, bro. I live right there, man. I be legs, bro. Y'all just want to do this. I'm literally exercising, bro. This is crazy.
Stand up.
Alright.
Huh? That's me.
Can you believe the man was arrested in the end? Well, of course, you understand this wasn't because he broke the law or did something wrong. It was simply because the police didn't like him, and they didn't like him for one reason only. He knew his rights. The more a person knows their rights, the harder they are to control them.
For what reason? I'm literally just jogging. This is not, IDF territory. You know what I'm saying?
Even as he struggled to make sense of the chaos, the man laid it out plainly. He jogged, masked up, carrying water, which was legal, healthy, and ordinary behavior. But to these officers, it became justification for force. He was sweating and out of breath, not from crime, but from trying to explain his innocence. And while they boasted about body cams, their confidence overlooked one thing. This footage wouldn't save them. It was gonna expose them.
How would you investigate it? Follow, see me go home, see me drink water, stop, change my station, and exercise. I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? I'm ugly. I DoorDash with a fucking mask on. I fucking run with a mask on, huh? I don't understand what your issue is. You know it's legal. It's legal. I'm literally worked up, bro, and trying to let out mucus without spitting and conversing with y'all. You understand? All right, well, you tell me, because I didn't think to ask where to spit. I wasn't here to read, you know what I'm saying? I'm literally... I got cameras and stuff right on here. I'll be able to get this footage so that way,
Yeah, we have body cam.
all right.
Yep,
From the
they're all
initial,
going.
from the first jump, because I didn't get to record, thank goodness, right?
Here was the heart of it. This man knew the truth. He was never allowed to say no. Not really. His rights existed in theory, but not in practice. He told them he had no gun, he was no threat, he had no intention but to go jogging. But the moment he exercised his right not to comply, the system treated him like a criminal. In their eyes, he was only ever a suspect.
Just how there's no reason for me to just exercise. You have the right to look and watch. You know what I'm saying? And I have the right to say no. But I don't have the right to say no. That's the issue. You know what I'm saying? There's no right to say no. I don't have a gun. I even told you that. But I couldn't start with no. Because it's not legal to fucking say no. You know what I'm saying? To no. So it's not legal. It's fucking ridiculous. I left 266 I realized went all the way out here, come running, trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm like 3 days breaking a fever. I need a tooth pulled out of my head, you know. I'm waiting for an appointment. So I shook a fever and everything, you know, and I'm trying to not feel like shit, you know, because I'm just sitting in a room in my mom's house waiting.
The officer asked why the man hadn't stayed calm, never once reflecting on the badge, the shouting, the threats, the cuffs that turned routine exercise into a survival scenario. Then came the real admission. You can say no, but only until we don't like it. And when you refuse to surrender to it, they call it resistance.
Okay, so why couldn't you just have a conversation with me like you are now?
All the way over there, though. You know what I'm saying? That's
Okay,
it.
so understand we get a call like this, we have to look into it, right?
Business, though, you know.
Why couldn't you just remain calm like you're being right now toward me?
But I don't have a gun. I don't have, you know what I'm saying? So I'm good. You know. Gun, bro. Oh, you can't. Listen, I just showed you all my guns. Am I allowed to say no? Am I allowed to say no? I don't understand.
I don't want to bother you.
Are you allowed to say no in life? Are you allowed to say no in life?
You can say no.
Oh, can I really? That's a grin, bro. Doesn't it?
Well, I don't want to take you to jail for resisting. You work one way from this. I want to verify there's no gun in there. I want to verify there's no gun on you.
Oh, I have no.
Because you could go for resistance.
Oh.
I don't.
Resisting
Yes, you
what?
could. You could.
No,
Stop.
I don't
John.
think so, bro.
John.
Because
John.
I literally binge all the videos.
John, I will take you if you want me to.
No, I understand you will, bro.
I don't want to though. I just want to verify you have
I
a
think
gun
you
and
do.
then
I think
send
you
us
do.
on your way.
I don't.
At this moment, the officer implies that the entire situation could have been avoided if the man had just talked and allowed them to search his bag. But under the Fourth Amendment, citizens are protected from unreasonable searches and seizures. Police cannot search personal property without consent, a warrant, or clear probable cause. His refusal was his constitutional right, and the fact that they treated it as defiance is exactly the problem here.
Can I please go look at your stuff? I don't want you to open it.
You don't want this, man. This is my property, bro. I'm not allowed to at least feel like I have a right to have to walk on the block from my mammy house. I just told, man, this is not cool, man. You know. Just like you don't want this interaction. I don't know.
I don't want this interaction. I would rather send you on your way.
Some people do. Some
Okay,
people
well, I would like
some
you to
people
walk
see
home.
this as a necessity in order to enact change. Otherwise, this is the
What was,
IDF.
what was your name?
Mine as well, right?
What was your first name?
What was my first name?
Yeah.
I told you I don't have a gun. You don't believe it. Ask them for my name.
Okay, I'm just trying to have a
someone
conversation
verified my
with
name,
you.
tell her my name. So I don't
Look.
believe anybody gonna believe me at all. What you wanna do? Well, I don't understand. You can check me. You can check me, pat me down, bro. Fuck, man. Yeah, man, fuck gun, bro. I don't understand why people. I'm just running with the thing, bro. Okay, I'm bumping music that they don't like or something. I'm just fucking literally.
If you had just talked to us, you would have been on your way by now.
No, the
like,
thing is, I
guaranteed.
believe I'm allowed not to. And I'm wrong or not.
One officer here tries to claim that any call from the public grants them lawful reason to stop and search someone. But that's a fundamental misrepresentation of the law. Terry v. Ohio requires that officers have reasonable, articulable suspicion that a person is involved in criminal activity, not just a vague, unverified call. Loitering and acting different are not crimes. But wait, there is more.
Whether I am wrong or not,
But there is an
it's
extent.
up to
There is an
you.
yeah, but it is up to us. There's an extent where you are allowed to put people on your mouth. If you get a call, a lawful call, and have a lawful reason. to
That's
stop
not
and
a lawful
investigate.
thing.
Yes, it is.
But
To stop
mixing
and
up the
investigate
names,
you,
though.
it is lawful.
But
If
there's
someone calls us and says that you're doing
evidence
something,
proof
dude,
there's
it's
nothing.
loitering and prowling all day long. You're in a place at a time and a minute, not known for a law-abiding citizen, and someone's saying that you're trying to conceal a gun.
I understand, bro.
Or you're pulling a gun out with a ski mask on in front of an open business.
There's a lot of
In front of an
reasons
open
to
business,
wrangle.
which
There's a
means
lot of
listen,
ways to
what I'm
wrangle
telling
up
you
our
is not wrangling
slaves,
anything.
bro.
What we're telling you
Yes,
is that everything he did is 100%
we're here to
lawful.
wrangle up
If you
slaves
use
for the bank,
information,
bro.
we're not going to let you reach into a
Oh,
bank that
man,
potentially
because
has
if
a firearm.
more money
That's not safe for
changes
anybody. We don't want to
hands,
shoot
the
someone
more
if we
money
don't want
for
you
the
to
bank
shoot.
system, bro.
Is
That's
there anything,
it.
Jones, you want to
know what
call?
I'm saying? No gun? Thank you. Now, can I have your information and stuff? All right, thank
Gonzalez
you.
214, Looking 269, Jones 254.
I need like a paperwork. It's too
We're not
much.
writing
I'm
down.
exhausted.
It's all on. You can
See,
request
I'm
a body
exhausted
cam
from
footage.
running, actually running, but you don't care,
You
bro.
can request a body
I'm
cam
here
footage.
because
You can
you
request a
brought
body
me
cam
here.
footage and all that information.
From where? From
Have a
who?
great day.
The next black car I see?
You can call in the non-emergency line and get all the information.
Can I get some kind of information? Or it's just fuck y'all? Fuck y'all, man.
You can give him this address and ask for the call. Yep.
In the end, the police let the man go, which wasn't surprising considering he hadn't committed a single crime. The real problem was that he was unnecessarily portrayed as a threat and publicly humiliated by the officers. Say, have you ever encountered police officers who thought they were above the law? Let us know down in the comments, and we'll move on to the next case. You know what's interesting? The fact that at the beginning of their careers, police officers take an oath to protect the constitutional rights of all citizens. And yet, many of those same officers now act as if those laws don't exist. For some reason, nothing seems to bother them more than seeing someone exercise their right to film in public. And that's exactly why they didn't like this guy either.
His First Amendment, I'm going to videotape, put people and put them in a bad spot. He just got arrested by one of our captains at a councilman the other day. He's got a YouTube channel. He likes to harass, provoke people. So I don't know what his beef is with you guys. And that's why I was wondering if you had any previous dealings with him.
He said he's here to investigate the chemicals going into the Iraq River. They just happened to be around.
Yeah, we were just, he was walking actually inside, I was inside. And then that's when he started saying things.
Yeah, he knows enough of the law to know he can be on a private roadway to videotape.
Right.
But if you guys don't want him on your private property, he's not allowed on your private property. All right. And if he does trespass, we will arrest him. Okay. If that's what you guys want.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
So where
sounds
is
good.
it, like,
The curb down here, it's a little ambiguous. There's no
do you
sidewalk.
have any part of him on the curb?
You've just been in the street the whole time.
It started with a label of provocateur, not based on actions but reputation. The officer himself said that this wasn't about a crime, but about someone using their First Amendment right to record in public. That alone triggered suspicion. Rather than engage with the facts, they framed the man as a threat for holding a camera and asking questions.
Let me go.
He was saying stuff to our customers, and the guy literally waited.
Yeah, he's a provocateur. He comes up to all of our officers, public officials, and everything, and tries to provoke a reaction out of them. And
I swear to God, I thought he was like a druggie or something. Like I was actually like very scared.
Well,
He was like, no one's here to see me. Cops aren't gonna come.
Well, that's why I wanted to know if you had any previous dealings with him. Yeah. All right.
First time.
All right. And you don't gotta. If you're feeling intimidated or scared in any way, like you don't gotta deal with that. Just call us. You did the right thing.
Yeah, no, that's why I've never seen this guy before. I usually am not here. My younger brother is. That's why it's my first time here working. This is my dad's business.
Yeah, and if you get any feeling that he's harassing you or taking it one step further with any of your vehicles or following anybody or any of that kind of stuff,
So
let
he
us know.
reported them all, and then he said the one BMW doesn't have a license plate on the front. He's like, I'm gonna find out whose it is. That's probably yours. I'm gonna get you in trouble.
Okay.
Like that's why it's like that was the time.
Instead of asking real questions or acknowledging the public interest behind the recording of a toxic site near homes, Sergeant Kenny brushed off the motivation entirely. The man explained he was documenting a potential environmental hazard as a matter of public concern, protected under First Amendment freedoms. But that didn't matter. To this officer, intent was irrelevant.
Christo, why them? Why them? Why today?
Well, Sergeant Kenny, it's not really a why. It just happened to be because me and my friend were over at the river.
Okay.
So I'm like, let me just do this video while I'm over here, one of those things. So I started off recording the King Buck Superfund landfill site.
Okay.
And I wanted to record to show how close the residential homes are to there and to here.
Okay.
Many cops do know if this goes up, 40,000 people minimum die
Okay.
down here in South Edison. I decided I recorded that the other day. I can edit clips.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I was looking at this side. They got some equipment. They do have some kind of township, a contract with the township. I was thinking, am I going to record them?
This cop redirected the conversation to the man's past, throwing shade over a false arrest that the man didn't even want to discuss. When citizens raise serious questions about environmental safety, mocking their appearance or digging into old charges isn't public service, it's deflection. And the officer didn't want accountability, he wanted leverage.
That mulch is very close to King Buck. Are they taking contaminated mulch and then selling it off to other Americans, getting them sick? We don't know. But I didn't even start recording. I was thinking more to record that sign and then start walking this way. I did only start recording because the princess over there initiated contact with me, and for my safety, I don't want her to say later I threatened her. Like, what was she saying when you arrived? She said no one's gonna protect her or something, things of that nature. Because that's another you're gonna see.
Okay.
Never happened.
Okay.
She was making fun of me for my wife beater, looking like a drug addict, whatever. That's her right to do so.
Well, you know this area pretty well. You know there's typically not pedestrian traffic down here, so when someone sees somebody on foot, it's usually out of character. And
This isn't the first time they harassed other South Edison residents in the past for flying their drones.
Okay.
So this has to stop. They need to be good stewards. They're not acting like good stewards. They're insulting the media.
I think that's a little hypocritical to call somebody not being good stewards, don't you? Come on. But your actions in the past, let's be honest with each other. If you're going to dish it out, you got to be able to take it.
Can you name an example?
You just got arrested the other day, right?
False arrest. I don't want to even.
I don't want to talk about it either, but
The cop tried to flip the script by claiming the man was provoking simply by exercising his constitutional rights. But rights are not a provocation. That logic rewrites the First Amendment into a threat. Then, in a staggering twist, the officer claimed that he had fewer rights than the person he detained, using that to justify discomfort while being recorded.
behavior when you push the envelope with everybody every chance you get.
I pushed the envelope by what? Doing my constitutionally protected activity. Shit. Battery died.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I pushed the envelope. It's alright, I'm gonna request your body camera.
Go ahead,
Did I
that's fine.
push the envelope by doing my constitutionally protected activity? By
Listen, here's the thing, Christos.
Are you vaccinated?
It's funny. It's funny.
You don't have to answer that.
I don't have to answer that. You're right, and that's where I was going to go with you. It's funny that you like to have these constitutional arguments and civil liberties arguments, because you'd be surprised at how many officers agree with you on what your arguments are. Unfortunately,
it's not an argument. It's a fact.
I'm not saying argument. What your points are, but.
I was removed for no reason.
But the most ironic thing is you're dealing with a group of people in law enforcement this state age in 2021 who have the least amount of civil rights out of anybody in this country.
You signed up for that.
I can't express myself. I can't express myself on social media like you can. I can't have an opinion on certain topics. So my civil liberties are stripped away as well. And so I'm a protector of the Constitution. I'm all about it. I swore an oath to the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the state of New Jersey. But you got to understand, man. Sometimes you put people in a bad spot, even though they don't.
Here, the cop dropped the mask completely. He admitted that the enforcement of laws was selective. He listed infractions the man could have been cited for, but wasn't, framing it as a kind of barter. You don't file complaints, we don't write you up. Equal protection under the law, a core principle of the Constitution, means officers don't get to enforce rules based on convenience or revenge. But when they treat rights as negotiable, the line between cop and tyrant disappears.
Times I could have done 5 or 6 other IA complaints for many other times.
And there's been a dozen times when you could have been cited for local ordinances, Title 39 violations, or 2C violations that we let them slide too. So it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. Today you're out here, and I'll give you one example. I drove down the street. You're in the middle of the street. Can I construe that as blocking traffic? I probably could, but I'm
technically,
I'm just saying.
I'm not giving easement.
I'm just saying, technically, if we're going to play a technical game, I could see a million examples of you on YouTube violating pedestrians' Title 39 violations.
Technically, I could have been in front of that fire hydrant, and I was, and I still stayed in front of the street.
No, I'm not saying. I don't want to play games with you. I'm just saying you get a lot of latitude.
No, I don't.
You do.
No, I don't.
Because you push it harder than anybody else.
No, you don't know what used to happen before I ever picked up a.
At this moment, Sergeant Kenny crossed a line no public servant should. He weaponized the man's personal history by publicly referencing past family struggles, domestic violence, addiction, and mental health. He tried to guilt and shame someone into silence, but the right to hold the government accountable doesn't expire because of personal hardship. This was a classic, calculated humiliation tactic.
They used to kick our
Christo, I've been coming to your house since you were a kid. We're coming to your house for domestic violence situations, for drug situations, for all kinds of stuff. So I understand that, and that's what bothers me with you, because. But what bothers me, Christo, is you should be thanking the Edison Police Department for the amount of times we helped you and your family over the years, man. That's what I don't understand. We helped your family with all kinds of situations. Yes. Yes. When you called when your family was in distress, when there was drug overdoses, when there was mental health crisis, when there was domestic violence.
This out in public right now.
I'm saying it to you.
Can you please point over there?
I'm saying it to you.
Point your body camera over there.
I'm saying it to you.
And you're also saying it to everybody else right now. So
what have I said that's inappropriate?
Everything, because a lot of this is, number one, it's your opinion. Number two, I'm calling you for help. After the time I called you guys for help.
Right, and we come.
Let's take a moment to think about what the officer said. If his words are to be believed, then no person who's had problems with the law in the past is entitled to constitutional rights. Someone needs to urgently inform this officer that he's in law enforcement, not emotion enforcement, and that his feelings have no place in the line of duty.
And we come. No, we do.
But it doesn't mean, we can debate every little time.
I've helped you in the past, and I've been on scene where guys have helped you in the past, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And then there's been times where they bashed our freaking heads in for no reason years prior to that. So probably years before you were even a cop. So let's really just not go there.
Why not? Why don't you want to go there? Because it's uncomfortable for you? It's the truth. And listen, Cristo.
No, it's your opinion.
Listen, I understand where you're coming from, and all the shit that happened in your past and my past makes us who we are today. So what you experienced in your life, the distrust for law enforcement, the situation in your family brought you to this course.
This just for law enforcement. Nappy, come to this side so we can have more body cameras for this.
You're not Nappy's boss. He doesn't got to go do anything you do. You tell him to do.
You're right.
And I'm not drawing any attention to you. I'm keeping a 6 foot.
Here the cop claimed he had no feelings and no opinions. A weak cover for the deeply personal attacks he had just made. But what made it worse was the hypocrisy. He insisted on his privacy mid-conversation, right after broadcasting another man's trauma on camera. The First Amendment protects everyone equally, not just officers when it's convenient.
There's been many times where I'm defending police officers. I'm never attacking police officers. I'm absolutely disgusted.
You're not attacking police officers by calling us corrupt on your YouTube channel every chance you get?
You are corrupt. It showed it the other day. There's a lot of corruption going on.
No, you don't.
You just, as a sergeant of Edison Police Department, rather you let your feelings.
I have no feelings. I don't get emotional. I don't get emotional. I'm not like some of the people you've dealt. It's not an opinion. I don't have an opinion.
I'm gonna open request your body camera.
That's fine, and I have no problem saying this to anybody if your phone is still on. I'd be saying the same exact things because we're not adversaries, Cristo. We're both citizens of Edison. We're both trying to do the right thing. Oh, there is privacy. Oh, now there's privacy. There's privacy when you want it, but not when everyone else wants it.
Body cameras for domestic violence situations, and you're out here talking about domestic violence.
Have I said anything specific?
Out in the public.
Have anything said specific? Because you know the Oprah laws, right? Because anyone could Oprah.
This cop continued to justify the situation by twisting public service into a debt, suggesting that because police had responded to calls in the past, the man should now tolerate public humiliation. But that's just not how rights work. Citizens don't owe silence in exchange for protection. And pointing to prior police calls to justify surveillance or exposure is dangerously close to saying, we helped you, so now you belong to us.
About you as well. They could Oprah your address, your name, and
even though I called you princess and whatnot, I wasn't completely disrespectful. You might not like that I called you princess, but at the end of the day, you did initiate contact with me. You were very nasty in the contact you did initiate. I don't care about it. I forgive you for it. But this whole situation, absolutely disgusting. Them calling police on South Edison residents.
You call the police on people all the time. You call the police because you get pizzas delivered to your house. You call the police for all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're there for, and we help you out.
Absolutely. So should I not?
No, you should.
Should I not?
And we should come.
But I don't call it on someone not.
She doesn't know who you are. Like I said, there's no pedestrian traffic down here. When someone approaches a woman outside of the thing, she should call the police.
So what do you think? Does this officer deserve to be fired for his behavior? In my opinion, the very least he deserves is to lose his qualified immunity. Because let's be real, it's time for officers who think they're above the law to be put back in their place. If you thought this was bad, don't go anywhere. The next video will take things to a whole new level because some officers just don't bend the rules, they break them completely. Make sure to check out the next video because what you'll see there is going to leave you speechless.